I've been meaning to do a video to talk about these negative FUD articles and how I get annoyed with responding to them. Because I started where you'd see a fake, Guardian article or Telegraph or, the Mr. Bean stuff that's been going on about him saying that electric cars aren't really environmentally friendly, and he's disappointed with them and all this sort of stuff. And it's when you see articles like this and you know it's wrong, you get upset and you want to comment, you want to go, you're wrong, and I want to tell you you're wrong. And that on social media, I don't know if it really works, so I've changed it now and I don't do it. I block them. So if you're somebody out there sharing some of these fake articles, then I don't want to see it, so I'm probably muting or blocking you as well, because the more we share it, the more you're encouraging them. And they're doing these articles for clicks, they're doing it for money, they're doing it to promote their media outlet. And they know it, they're doing it knowing that it's wrong. And I find it really embarrassing for these professional journalists who are deliberately creating incorrect, sensational articles to gain clicks. So they must be proud of themselves, but look how many clicks I got. But they're not proud anymore of doing something meaningful, doing something truthful, doing some real journalistic work. So it's extremely embarrassing, I think, and I don't like engaging with it at all. Now you might say, but unless you leave some comments telling people what the truth is, how are they going to know? They might actually truly believe it. And I just think there's a better way. I think we should promote what the truth is. I don't think we have to argue with what it is. We don't have to be right and wrong. We don't have to be engaging in this us and them, the competitive side, like Labour and Conservative and Brexit and no Brexit and gay and straight. I don't know. It's all this diverse world where we're opposed against each other. It's really negative, and I don't like it. So I do tend to now block all these articles and all these people that are sharing fake stuff. But for the argument about are electric cars greener than petrol and diesel cars in their lifetime, and how long is that lifetime, and those arguments, those are the ones that are starting to annoy me, because a lot of very talented, very knowledgeable people in the EV community are constantly responding, and they've got links and articles ready to rebuke and correct all these fake arguments to get the truth out there. I'm sort of not in that sphere. I like what they're doing because they're accurate and they know what they're talking about and they're very knowledgeable. But I'm not sure if it works because it creates an us and them and it creates an argument, and I think it's just a lot simpler than that. I don't like the idea of seeing an article and they're trying to account for the CO2 of the production of the car and the production of the battery and to quantify it, and depending on what the electricity source is and the country source is as to how green it is, and then the lifetime of the emissions you save and offsetting those, how many years, all of that math and that calculation. Is it really necessary to work out whether an EV is greener than a petrol and diesel car? And I just think we should take a position above all of this, and we don't need to argue the numbers because it's so bloody obvious that you don't need to. So I'd like to suggest something different. If people are trying to argue whether EVs are greener, you should look at this perhaps. Look at my argument, and it is quite simple. If you took all electric cars away and they didn't exist, and Elon Musk didn't exist and Tesla didn't exist, and we stayed with petrol and diesel, are the car manufacturers and the oil and gas companies going to solve the environmental problems of the world? Can you trust those people to fix the problems we have and to help fix them? So it's not just their fault, but it's part of the solution that we need to reduce our emissions. We do need to reduce our emissions. If you don't think that, then you really are living on cloud cuckoo land. We absolutely do. We have an emission problem. We are polluting the world. And if you're in any doubt whatsoever, imagine your petrol or diesel car in a big polythene balloon and you're sat inside. You seal it up and you turn the engine on. How long do you think you could live in that environment before those gases killed you? They are poisonous gases that are coming out of the back. So regardless of the CO2, the absolute quality of the air emissions is being filled with lethal gases. They really are. Now, okay, we only don't notice it because it's diluted amongst the air that's out there. And the only time we really notice it with diesels and stuff is on a damp day when the diesel stays low and basically you get choked on it. Now, if you don't suffer from asthma, you're not aware of it, but people that have asthma going out in cities that have lots of diesel buses and diesel taxis end up having asthma attacks. So it's absolutely real that these emissions from petrol and diesel cars are affecting our health, and it is not a good thing. So it's the CO2, it's the emissions, it's the air quality. They are bad. Now, can you trust the car manufacturers and the oil and gas industry to reduce their emissions? So all you have to do is look at the history. In the 1970s, they invented the catalytic converters over in America, and they deliberately did not implement them because it suited them not to make more profit not to do it. Then you've got all the emissions, lies and scandals. Oh, is he really going to try and overtake? He is. Tempting to myself, but there you go, I'll wait. So that was one example. So you got Volkswagen being taken to court and being fined billions, and people being sent to prison, or have they got suspended sentences for all the lying they've done on emissions. And it isn't just Volkswagen. All of the car manufacturers have been guilty of mismanaging their and overinflating their emissions and their efficiencies. And I know that for absolutely certain, because I used to buy economical diesel cars that would do 55 miles per gallon, and then when I'd upgrade I'd get one that did 60, and then I'd get another one that did 65, and every 3 or 4 years when I changed my car I'd get another 5 miles per gallon. And the cars I chose were the ones that could actually do it. So the latest one I had was a Ford Fiesta diesel Z-Tech, and that did 70 to the gallon, so I genuinely got 70 to the gallon from it. And I've got a friend who's got a Mini 1.5 diesel. She gets a genuine 70, 72 miles per gallon from it. So they're capable of that. But when I was looking at changing that Fiesta, they started quoting 80, 90, 100 miles per gallon. And suddenly they started zooming up. And I thought, well, what's the technology that they've implemented to do that? I've already got, the DPFs. I've already got the super economical diesel engine that Ford introduced. Then you've got the 3-cylinder engines that they brought out. Are they that more efficient? And they damn well weren't. It's that the numbers on the paper were going up and up and up and looking more competitive and looking better, but the actual results that you got were not. And it's the same as like a hybrid car. You drive around in a hybrid petrol car, and you expect to be able to get hundreds of miles per gallon, and you can't. You'll get about 5 miles per gallon more than you would if it's just an ordinary petrol car. So it's all a bit of a lie. So if you look at the trend of all of these things and what's actually happened so far, can you trust the car industry to get emissions right, to lower them? And the answer is absolutely not. In my mind, you cannot trust them because you took away the competition and the pressure to do it. All they care about is selling cars and making profit. They are not interested in the emissions, and they've proven that time and time again. So quite simply, if you buy a petrol or diesel car now, or I think even a hybrid car, you are voting for not fixing the emissions, for not helping with CO2, for not looking after the environment. It's voting for bad. It's voting for not solving the problems. So it's a bit like that Tom Cruise film with Dustin Hoffman, isn't it? Where they go counting cards. It's 1 for bad, 2 for good. So yeah, if you're buying petrol or diesel, it's 1 for bad. So look at it the other way. Why is 2 for good buying an electric car? Why is it good buying an electric car? Well, can you trust Elon Musk to do the right thing and to save emissions? Well, I think if you look at the strategy that he has and his achievements so far in Tesla, so just the one company, the answer is absolutely yes, because everything he's set out to do, he's damn well achieving it. He is doing it. Tesla is producing some fantastic cars. They are zero emission. He's looking at making it more efficient. He produces them as efficiently with CO2 as possible, and that's getting better and better and better. The longevity of the cars is getting better. So yeah, who are you going to trust more, the normal car industry, the oil and gas industry, or someone like Elon Musk? I'm sorry, but I would trust Elon Musk in the electric cars. And if electric cars don't take as much servicing, there's less parts to go wrong, they are going to last longer. So with even if they do take more CO2 to produce right now, they are going to produce less emissions over their life. But that's not why I would vote to buy an EV. Petrol and diesel cars have been around for a good 100+ years. They've had 100 years to get the ultimate solution of petrol and diesel, and yet they keep saying we're magically now going to get it right. Well, why have they taken so long? They've had 100 years to get it right. Electric cars have been going since 2010, 2012, and they've only really started get going since, I don't know, 2015, 16, 17, with more than just a couple of manufacturers. So they're literally only just at the tipping point. So every time you buy an electric car now, it's one less you're telling the industry, I don't want petrol and diesel. It's one more you're encouraging the car industry to produce just electric, and to encourage them to keep developing the technology and getting it better and better and better. So what we're buying now are the early versions. What we're going to have are much, much better electric cars in the future. So 2 for Good is voting for the future. It's voting for electric cars are not just better now, they're going to be massively better in the future. They are our future, a cleaner, greener future. Air that you can breathe in city centres as well. Less noise pollution. It's just positive, positive, positive. And the more I look at ICE cars and especially gearbox cars, cars with gearboxes, the stick shift, the more you sort of realise that we've been suckered into just complete lies from the car industry. I'm driving a car now with no gearbox at all, no gears, and it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. I don't need to press the accelerator and go brum, 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 and I don't need to rev the car and change the gear and try to get the optimum horsepower on the rev range and hear it go pop and bang out of the back, etc. It's so childish, and it's not good. It's not good technology. How about having a car that with a turbo that has crap power unless you're in the power band, where an electric car has all of the power all of the time? These are just much, much better cars, and we've been fooled into thinking, oh, if I wait for the DSG gearbox with dual clutch and an 8-speed automatic, then that extra £1,000, £2,000 I'm spending on that gearbox and clutch system, which is going to go wrong a few years later as well, that's a good thing because it's brilliant. Well, it's not brilliant. It's so complicated, whereas the EV is just so simple. So which is the better technology? And we've been fooled into thinking these complex things, these complex combustion engines and gearboxes, are a good thing, and they're really, really not. We've just been blinkered that that's all the choice there is. And now basically it's like they've been found out. Electric cars have come out, we've got more power, it's easier to produce the power. The power's there all the time, the torque and the acceleration is brilliant. The cars are still fun to drive, they're not that heavy, and where they are heavy is really low down, which gives you a great sense of gravity, that gives you great handling. Electric cars are better. So it's like waking up from the dream and the pretense that miles per gallon and emissions aren't a problem, and gearboxes and engines being overly complicated aren't a problem. Oh yes they are. Our friend who has a nice 1.5 diesel Mini Clubman, she's just had a £2,000 repair bill for some ordinary maintenance things on the engine and gearbox in that car, and that's not an uncommon thing. And it's a 2017 model car. 2017, you shouldn't really be expecting lots to go wrong. It's only done, I think, 60 or 70,000 miles. It's not a high mileage car, but in an electric car, it's going to blow past that mileage and that age without any significant problems. Because especially the motor and the battery, the significant things in the car, are warranted for longer than that. So why haven't car manufacturers warranted their engines and gearboxes for 8 years? Why haven't they? Because they know they're going to break, and they want to sell you parts and stuff as well. They don't want to sell you something that is absolutely never going to break. because they're not going to make any more money off you. So if you believe the car industry at the moment is in your favour and you think you're buying a petrol and diesel, one of these complicated cars, because it's the right thing to do, and you don't believe in electric cars, you really do have to take the blinkers off and open your eyes. It's 1 for bad if you're buying petrol and diesel, and 2 for good if you're buying electric. You do not need to count the lifetime emissions of the car and work out which is using more CO2. It is really, really simple. You can't trust the car industry. We need to go electric, and we need to push them to do it. They're going to go with whatever we want to buy ultimately, otherwise they're out of business. And they're starting to find that now, because it's hard to keep up with a company like Tesla. But companies like Mazda and Toyota are going down screaming, aren't they? Trying to change the law, trying to delay going electric, because they want to keep selling you hybrids. And if you truly believe all of their bullshit that they give you, that their cars are really efficient and they're saving more CO2 than anyone else, then yeah, just wake up and smell the coffee. They are absolutely lying to you in the same way these companies have been lying about miles per gallon and emissions. So there you go. There's my rant about CO2 and the lifetime CO2. When you see these arguments of, like the Rowan Atkinson debacle about are you better just sticking with your old petrol and diesel? Absolutely bloody not. Vote 2 for good, encourage the world to be a better place, and buy an EV.
Now turn left.
And it's the same thing for those people that are saying, why do I buy so many more cars? It's more sustainable to keep a car for longer. You're right, it absolutely is. But every car I buy is another electric car that's been produced, another electric car that's going to be on the road with somebody. So I'm helping the future. It might be costing more CO2, it might not be a sustainable thing. But the more we buy, the more we're pushing the technology, the more the technology will advance faster. You can't not buy technology, because technology will never improve if you don't. So if you want to live in a hermit and live in a cave and pretend the world isn't out there, then we're not going to have technology to solve some of the world's problems. You've got to buy technology. You've got to buy new phones, new devices, new solar panels, new systems. You've got to do that, otherwise the technology won't advance. So there you go, that's my rant about it all. I don't think you need to count and need to argue too strongly about should you stay petrol and diesel or should you go electric. It's bloody simple. It's 1 for bad, 2 for good. It's 1 for bad on petrol and diesel, it's 2 for good, go EV. And that's not a hybrid, that's not even a plug-in hybrid. Because if you get a plug-in hybrid, all you're going to do is 1 of 2 things. You're either not going to charge it and drive like an ordinary car, or you're going to keep charging it and only drive at 20-30 miles. In which case, just buy an electric car, a low-range one. It's not difficult, as you can find out today. I've been driving, what's time? 11:30. I've been driving 2 hours now, continuously. And this little EV with only a 29 kilowatt hour battery still has 51% battery. I could be driving this sort of speed for 4 hours. To me, that's pretty long range. 4 hours constantly. And we're up to 5.2 miles per kilowatt hour. So what do you think of that argument anyway? Should we stop replying to fake articles and just vote 1 for bad, 2 for good? Do we have to worry about being accurate about CO2 to know whether EVs are better than petrol or diesel? It really is a no-brainer. Who can you trust? You can trust the EV puzzle. I keep wanting to say on camera, if you want to know whether a petrol or diesel car is better than electric, just suck on the exhaust and see what happens. But of course, I'm not allowed to encourage you to do anything bad or dangerous. So do not attempt it, because it is poisonous stuff that comes out of an exhaust. But that's the simplest thing you could say to somebody to make them realise that petrol and diesel are just really, really bad. I hope the government does something soon to get the old cars off the road. I mean, the people running around in old buses and old taxis and old cars that when they put a foot down you get a cloud of black soot out of the back, they should be taken off the road.